analysis, and that is what I want to offer you briefly again tonight. If I am correct, that Israel knew that this attack was being launched. Indeed, on Judgment Day, we may be able to learn that the Israeli Mossad played a role in getting all these American weapons to reach Gaza. How did they reach Gaza? In such huge numbers and such sophisticated weapons. That the Israeli Mossad must have played a role in it. So this was not surprising for Israel. But Israel, like the American government, chose to remain silent and allow innocent people, because they were innocent of being part of the oppression of the Palestinian people, but they are not innocent in terms of being oppressors of the Palestinian people. They are part of the system of oppression, but they lost their lives. They were not combatants, but they lost their lives. Many of them were taken as prisoners of war, not hostages, not hostages, not hostages. This is war. The Israeli government declared we are at war. And so these are prisoners of war and not hostages. And now then, if the Israeli government knew that this attack was coming, and they chose to remain silent and allow it to take place, it can only be because there's a big plan at work, and they needed this to be able to advance that master plan. And what can that master plan be? In Jerusalem, in the Quran, we pointed out that the Torah says that the Holy Land extends from the river of Egypt to the river Euphrates, and that is false. That is false. Moscow, I hope you're listening, that is false. The Holy Land does not extend from the river of Egypt to the river Euphrates. But if that is in the Torah, and the reason why the state of Israel was restored in the Holy Land is because the Jews believe that the Messiah is still to come. He has not come as yet. They reject Jesus, the son of Maryam, as the Messiah. Jesus is not the Messiah, says Israel. Should I repeat that? Washington, are you listening? Israel says that Jesus is not the Messiah. He is a bogus Messiah. He's false. But the Christian says no. And the Muslim says no. Of course, I'm talking about Christians who follow Jesus. I am not concerned with Christians who follow Santa Claus. Let me take a drink. The Christians in the Western world who are in support of Israel are mostly people who follow Santa Claus. Just look at them at Christmas time and you'll see who they follow. And so now, the Muslim and the Christian who follow Jesus, we say no, the Messiah was Jesus, the son of Maryam. And he came, and he left, and that he will return. But they don't believe that. They reject that. And they have brought a state of Israel into being in the Holy Land in order that their Messiah, who is still to come, may be able to rule over a holy Israel in Jerusalem and rule over the world. And so the golden age will come back. If you read Jerusalem in the Quran, you've understood that. And so they need the state of Israel to expand its territory, to encompass the biblical frontiers of the Holy Land. You wouldn't hear this from the American Congress. They won't talk about this. They have more important things to talk about in Congress. And so perhaps the planning behind this war, allowing the Islamic resistance in Palestine. Remember, I don't use these terms about Taliban and this and that and the other. I have consistently referred to the Islamic resistance in Afghanistan. And so too I refer to the Islamic resistance in the Holy Land, in contradistinction to the secular Palestinian national resistance, headed by the PLO. The biblical frontiers of the Holy Land requires that Israel must expand her territory to the river Nile on this side and to the river Euphrates on that side. If you don't know that, then read my book, Jerusalem in the Quran. And so if I am correct that this war was allowed to take place, as Pearl Harbor was allowed to take place, as 9/11 was allowed to take place, there is a plan behind it. That's why they allowed it to take place. And so many people lost their lives who could have been saved. It's because perhaps Israel is planning a bigger war. The Israeli Mossad will probably be very angry with me for revealing this is possibly the plan, to try to provoke Hezbollah in Lebanon to enter the war formally. And once Hezbollah enters the war, then the road to Iran is open. But if Israel believes that you can launch a war against Iran and that you will be successful, remember, Israel, you're playing with fire. Why? Because all of mankind are going to suffer if there is a war with Iran. From the time Iran is attacked, the first implication is that Iran is now going to become a nuclear power. Shall I repeat that for you in Jerusalem? The moment you attack Iran, the first implication, and Washington cannot stop it, is that Iran will immediately become a nuclear power, nuclear weapons power. Join the nuclear club of countries with nuclear weapons. Is that what you want for Israel? Not only that, the second implication is that while Iran may not use a nuclear weapon on Israel, there's no need to do that. Unless, as in the policy of the state of Russia, it is when Russia's territory, the state, is endangered, only then would Russia use nuclear weapons. So Iran might decide the same thing. When the survival of Iran as a state is at stake, only then would we resort to nuclear weapons. But Iran would immediately become a nuclear power. The second implication, Israel, I hope you're listening, is that immediately you attack Iran, all the oil installations, all of them in the Gulf, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Abu Dhabi, all of them will go up in flames because Iran has the missile capacity to destroy them all. And oil burns. It is flammable and it can spread easily.